Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Computer America Show. Once again, we are about to start the program. We're about 1 minute out, and yeah, we have a great program scheduled for everyone today. Now, the first guest actually had to, paperwork and all that kind of stuff in the background, but we are hoping to get them back on sometime next week. But instead, in the first hour, we have computer and technology news, where we are going to cover everything that Facebook and Oculus have announced about their new VR plans. And then in the second guest is going to be Gazelle. You may have seen their commercials. They pay you cash for your phone, and they have those nifty booths set up everywhere. So maybe a great way to get rid of an old cell phone. And yeah, looking forward to it. So sit back and relax and enjoy Computer America.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It is the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. We are heard around the world and coast to coast, and I'm your host, Ben Crossman. And yeah, we have a great show planned for everyone today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us early, as we have a lot of great news stories to go over in the first segment. And, those news stories, they're mainly going to focus on today around everything that happened out during Facebook's keynote. And it was all about virtual reality. It's about the Oculus and what is next for Oculus and what new gadgets and things they're planning on bringing out for, I think, what many would consider, obviously, a medium that hasn't truly caught on yet. And so it's interesting to see what a large company like Facebook has in mind and has in store for what they feel everyone should be doing with virtual reality. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we also have a couple stories about Spotify, very, very popular internet streaming music service, is reportedly through ads. And, this is one of the benefits of using ad blocker that we've gone over on the show here, through ads, without having to click on anything, select anything, do anything, without having to click a single button. Ads served up by Spotify are actually installing viruses on users' computers. And it's everyone from Windows, Linux, Mac computers, every single computer. And again, don't have to click a thing. And again, it's just one of those annoying parts of ads is that when you serve up ads, you also serve up another attack vector that really anyone can kind of take a hold of and inject whatever they want into your system and into your internet traffic. So just something that can happen, and we are going to be going over that. Not to mention a few other stories. Some of those include Yahoo. We haven't gone over all the emails and all the scandal that's been happening with Yahoo and the NSA, and how Gmail made a big hubbub about this. Apple made a big hubbub. Yahoo seems to have just kind of flipped over on their back and said, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. And they let law enforcement and U.S. intelligence services to search every incoming email of every single user in real time. So I'm sure they had some kind of program that would continuously scan every single piece of email going through Yahoo servers, that for keywords, obviously, and then they could do targeted searches through any of your emails. So might be a good time to switch away from the first best time was in 2006, when people stopped using Yahoo. But the second best time to stop using a Yahoo email account may be now, of course. And so but before we get into the meat of those stories, I want everyone to know that if you have any questions or concerns, or if you want to get in contact with the Computer America Show, maybe a question for our guest, maybe a question for myself, or just a comment for the show, please feel free to send us an email to live@computeramerica.com, or to go to the Interact with Us button, drop down, there's a submit a question, and you can submit a question, comment, anything you want to that form, and we'll get it right away. And we will be sure to handle it appropriately. And let's see. So if you want to contact us, you can do it that way. If you would like to, if you would like to hear any of today's show or get links or find anything about today's show, please head on over to computeramerica.com, where you will be able to find all the show notes for today's guest, all the stories that we do. Anything related to the show will be included in today's show notes. So it makes it very easy. You don't have to write anything down. You don't have to remember anything. It's just, sit back, relax. And if you really want to go back and say, well, what was he talking about? Then head on over to the show notes and you will find everything right there. Very, very easy. Sorry about that. And all right, so we're going from that. And then the last thing I want to mention is that we have a I was about to say show reminder, a social media winner of the week, where we give away a great prize from our friends over at Logitech. And we are currently giving away the Keys to Go, which is a product very, very portable, very, very great for Android, smartphone, what have you, any kind of portable technology. It's very lightweight, very, very thin, very soft to the touch, and of course waterproof and all that kind of stuff. It's going to serve you well if you have a mobile device and you want a full-fledged keyboard. I can, it's very, I know there are a lot of them out there, but after you hold one in your hands, you'll say, yeah, this is one of the better ones. So be sure to check out Keys to Go by Logitech. And again, in the second segment, we are going to be having a whole show dedicated to Gazelle. And I want to say this past Wednesday, it was either Wednesday or last Wednesday, was actually e-cycling month, where it's all about recycling your electronic devices. It's a very, very big topic because e-waste is actually a massive, massive problem where people just have old technology and they think it's useless. It's not good for anything, and it's filling up landfills. When there are actually lots and lots of salvageable material within these devices, and definitely worth looking into. So yeah, we're going to be talking to Gazelle in the second segment, but as I said, we are going to get into these news stories and again mainly focus on the Oculus and see what they all have to bear, because again they did have a keynote that just happened today, only a few hours ago. So I say we just get into computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. There we go. System was a little slow, but we're good to go. And Computer and Technology News is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Clean, speed up, and optimize your system for free. So let's just jump right into this. This is, again, Oculus, for all of you who don't know, for whatever reason. Oculus is a company that was purchased by Facebook for about $2 billion about 2 years ago. And Oculus was a crowd-funded product. It was a crowdfunded virtual reality headset. It raised a couple $1 million on its own, and it really, it was kind of the first, the first inkling of virtual reality to hit the scene. And then, of course, you have things like Gear VR, but Oculus was really the first crowdfunded, the first really interesting, really caught everyone's attention that, hey, VR might really be a thing. So Facebook bought it. They haven't been doing much with it. They've been pretty hands-off, with virtual reality. But it turns out that that was all a cover for what they announced today. And what they announced today is that Oculus is bringing VR gameplay to streams and Facebook news feeds. Now, Facebook has done a lot. We're going to go, kind of article by article. But suffice to say that if you have any if you have any inkling of purchasing an Oculus, expect a lot of integration with Facebook and Facebook games, because obviously, parent company, they want it to be a success, but they also want it to be within their ecosystem. So yeah, here we go. And this is from Engadget, Mr. Timothy Sapala, saying that Facebook has been experimenting with live streaming gaming for a bit, and now Oculus is coming into the fold. You'll be able to broadcast the Gear VR gameplay to the world's largest social network, and from the stage presentation, which perhaps unsurprisingly, it resembled how the current streams work. And basically, it looks like a status update, and you can tag friends, comment, and talk however you want. Or, of course, they also have words of encouragement from your family members as you blast away at enemies. And yeah, and and again, they have pictures there. This is all kind of happening live, so the article isn't really that fleshed out, but it looks like a status update. It looks like you have a picture, but of course, you click on it, and you will be able to watch essentially what the virtual reality person is seeing from their side. And yeah, it's just another way to bring Facebook games and Facebook. I think Facebook is really trying to break into this whole game streaming kind of deal. And it's a market largely held by Twitch, but games are generally social nowadays. Games used to be very, very isolating. Games are very social nowadays. So for Facebook, which is the social network, to get into this makes a lot of sense. And virtual reality, I mean, yeah, it seems kind of far fetched when when you can only expect so many people to actually go out and buy virtual reality. But as we're going to go through these stories, you're going to start to get the picture that Facebook doesn't just intend for the gamer to have virtual reality. It doesn't just intend for the content viewer to have virtual reality. It expects almost everyone to eventually have virtual reality of their own and be able to experience all these things simultaneously with each other. And for better or worse, that is what Facebook is aiming for. And I think that is very, very well outlined by, let's see, right here. Yeah, so this is the Oculus, and here they have a whole room scale VR system. And again, this kind of drives home the fact that they're looking to turn Oculus into a social experience. And they're saying that for an extra $80, this turns the Oculus into a room scale VR system. And this says that the third sensor will keep you from running into walls while making your games better. So at the Oculus Connect 3, the virtual reality company announced room scale VR support for its upcoming touch controllers. So to enable the feature, you will need a third sensor for the room for an additional $80. And the room scale features less. The room scale feature lets virtual reality users move within a real space by 3D mapping the room. By adding the third sensor, gamers and other content should be more immersive because you can wander around in an area while wearing an Oculus Rift. So, by adding room scale support and putting extra sensors on the sale isn't that big of a surprise, because Oculus Home, of course, software gained support for multiple sensors back in July. So, Oculus isn't the first VR company to add this feature, and the HTC Vive already supports 3D room scale, and developers can already add this to their games. So, this also ties in closely with another thing that you can buy that has been sorely lacking from the Oculus, and this is their hand controllers. Now, obviously, when you do virtual reality, I mean, it's just like very, very fine and very, very controlled hand movements and just movements within the game. They aren't always best with a camera and what have you. Sometimes you need a controller, for those very, very refined, aspects of a game. And so they launched an Oculus Touch, which is going to be in December, December 6th, to be exact. But on December 6th, you will be able to buy Oculus Touch for $200. And this is from Nick Summers, and yes, from Engadget. And they're saying that, of course, until now, of course, the Rift has been incomplete. It's a very comfortable high-end VR headset, but without the controllers, the experience feels like a preview. And well, they finally announced Touch, saying that at Oculus Connect, the company announced that its motion controllers will be out on December 6th, and they'll cost about $200, putting the combined price at $800, saying that for reference, the HTC Vive with its wand controllers cost about $800 as well. Yeah, and I think the best competitor to these is the PlayStation VR launches next week for $400, but that's only the headset, where you will need to pay extra money for the camera and the Move controllers. So, of course, you can pre-order them almost immediately, and you can buy, of course, the third sensor for $80. And they're saying that the Touch adds intuitive hand tracking to VR, where the controller comprises of two parts, one for each hand, with analog sticks, face buttons, and triggers behind them, and a plastic band that wraps around the bottom, giving each pad a sleek cuff-like look. And once you've, of course, slipped them on, you can naturally control the avatar's hands in virtual reality. Waving, punching, picking up objects, and even finger gestures such as quick points or thumbs up of course, this certainly beats the Xbox One controller, and you'll have to decide whether it's worth the extra cost, of course. And yeah, I gotta say, so we covered the sensor, $80, and the controllers, $200. I mean, that's a lot of extra money for what's I think a lot of people kind of should expect to come natively with virtual reality. You know, virtual reality, if more and more games start demanding the whole home aspect of it, I think anything beyond video viewing or, kind of very, very simplistic virtual reality aspects of what you can do, like honestly, other than very, very simple things, you are pretty much guaranteed going to need a controller to manipulate objects within virtual reality. And of course, if you want to move around instead of just sit in one place, then yeah, you're going to need the third sensor. It's I don't know, I'm glad that they're including it, and it's good to see that it's going to be out for the holidays, but it really does make you think that, where did all of that billions and billions and billions of dollars in research and development go if we're a year behind and we finally are just now getting the idea for controllers or even heck, whole room VR? It seems like something again that should have been rolled into the package deal. But better late than never. And you can be sure that again, it's going to cost you about $880 to buy all of the accessories that honestly should probably come with the system. And yeah, so yeah, that is the Oculus. And I think there's one more I want to cover here. And this is a very, very exciting part because I mean, it's Oculus and virtual reality uh, offer a very, very different interface for what we expect from our computers. I mean, it's not just slapping a monitor on your face, putting it 2 or 3 inches away from your eyes, and saying, "Oh, it's virtual reality." I mean, this promises to be a very different viewing experience, and you can't take something traditional like a monitor or a web browser for something like virtual reality and just say, "Hey, any old web browser will do." It doesn't really matter. And I think that's where Facebook is trying to get with this one. And this is, of course, again from Timothy Sapala from Engadget, saying that the co founder, Nate Mitchell, says that it's fully optimized for virtual reality and it being a virtual reality web browser, which has been codenamed Caramel. And yeah, so today at the event, they said that the co-founder announced that the company is working on a fully VR web browser. And they're saying that it's dubbed Caramel with emphasis on the Mel and is fully optimized for VR. And this follows the likes of Google making aspects of Chrome on mobile, for instance, browsable in virtual reality. And on top of that, Oculus is working towards more framework for making virtual reality experiences more VR ready. And with all without needing to download huge program files. So one of the demos on stage, for instance, was a car configurator from Renault. And yeah, again, this is going to kind of wrap up our virtual reality, Oculus coverage here, but it just goes to show that Facebook, they made this purchase, they spent billions of dollars, they had a reason, and I think the reason is that they want Facebook and Facebook adjoining services to really be the platform in which you really experience virtual reality, be it chess with your friends, be it a chat room with your friends, be it video games with your friends, be it watching movies with your friends. I mean, there are lots of applications that social and virtual reality make a lot of sense. And like, love them or hate them, Facebook is everywhere. Facebook has was it 1.3 or 1.7 billion concurrent users every single month. They have a lot of people. So if you want a social aspect of your virtual reality, and not just and not just like kind of cool games, but you want to be able to share those games and share those experiences, then Facebook is trying to say, hey, we have the infrastructure for you. We have what you want. And then by the same turn, they're also trying to really accentuate that they have what you need. I'm sorry. They have the content that, even if you aren't interested in video games, even if you aren't interested in a lot of virtual reality, there's going to be virtual reality content that is going to interest you, and maybe, just maybe, make you buy that $800 Oculus headset. Not because, again, not because it's for gamers, but because it's going to be for everyone. At least that is what Facebook is hoping for. They're hoping that it is for the movie viewer, it is for the gamer, it is for those who are trying to be social with their friends. It is going to be for everyone. So uh, again, love them or hate them, it's what Facebook is planning. So I mean, the Oculus, you can see where they're going with it. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's like we've said on the show before, virtual reality adoption has been extremely lethargic and just hasn't been happening as quickly, I think, as a lot of virtual reality kind of advocates were hoping. But hey, it's a place to start. It is a place to start. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for virtual reality. We're not going to hear, of course, it's not the last of virtual reality. We're going to hear more and more about it. But I think we are going to move on to this story. And this is a big one. This one is also about social media, but this one is about Twitter. And Twitter has this very, very strange relationship with, not just with its audience, but with investors and, the corporate side of Twitter. Because, of course, Twitter is a publicly traded company, but at the same time, Twitter was founded by investors. It was meant to be a media platform for, quick and short messages. And I think Twitter has the users. I really do. I don't think as many users use it as, let's say, Facebook, but I think the people that use it very, very often. And I think Twitter definitely has a niche that it's trying to fill. But we're also seeing at the same time, they can't make money. And as much as you can like Twitter for its mission and what it's trying to do and how it's trying to do it, as much as you can appreciate that, by the same token, you can't just sit there and say, well, I like Twitter, but even if it's losing money, we're just going to let it be. And that's not what investors are looking for. You don't invest in a company hoping to fill a need. You hope to make some money off of it. And Twitter has yet to turn a profit and is actually, of course, I don't want to say hemorrhaging, but it just takes a lot of money to operate. No matter how many times they try to monetize the service, just doesn't work. So, yeah, and this is from Billy Steele saying that, and from a gadget saying, of course, does anyone want to buy Twitter? Saying that the company wants to make a decision by the end of the month, but the list of potential buyers is getting shorter. So they said that at the end of September, the list of reported potential suitors for Twitter included Apple, Disney, Google, and Salesforce. And based on new reports from Recode and CNBC, it sounds like none of those companies are interested in buying the social network. And Recode sources indicate that this week that Google wasn't preparing to make a bid and that Apple wasn't likely to do so either. And it followed that up with a report that Disney, after exploring a potential proposal, wouldn't move forward with an official offer. And Twitter shareholders surely aren't happy about those big names withdrawing interest, as the company's stock fell about 9%. And then they have the Salesforce CEO who downplayed his company's interest in Twitter during an interview in CNBC yesterday, saying that the chief executive said that while he considers it a lot of potential acquisition, he ultimately decides to pass on most of them. And he didn't comment. He didn't comment specifically on Twitter, but noted that it's in our interest to look at everything. So, according to Reuters, Twitter wants to wrap the sale. Wants to wrap the sale process by October 27th, the day it's scheduled to announce its quarter three earnings. And that news follows a Bloomberg article that shows the internal battle at Twitter over the potential sale, including the CEO is reportedly holding up the process because he wants the company to remain independent. And Twitter does have some untapped potential on top of its social network and newly cemented live video push, but it looks like it's getting a deal done before the end of the month, maybe a lot harder than it seems a week ago. And yeah, like I said, Twitter has a very strange relationship with investors. They don't always, kind of see eye to eye. I have heard of mass exoduses by the higher ups at Twitter simply because they couldn't agree on the direction for the company. It's not what you want to hear, of course, as a it's obviously not what you want to hear as an investor, and it makes acquisitions obviously very, very hard to do. So, with that being said, that is, of course, Twitter. And I think we're going to jump on over to this story. I think we have time for one more. And I really want to cover this one because, again, it kind of emphasizes something that we preach here at something that we preach here at Computer America all the time. And that is, of course, ad blockers are very important. And not just because it blocks all ads. Ads definitely have a place within the internet because it keeps a lot of services that we enjoy free. And one of those services that we enjoy for free is, of course, Spotify. And yes, many people pay for the premium version of Spotify, but an even larger number simply listen to ads. And while AdBlock may not potentially block any of these or even all of these, Spotify, it's it just goes to show that in some cases ads can be a real danger. And for a service as large as Spotify, with as many millions upon millions of users as they have, I think they have upwards of a couple hundred million users. Please double check that, but yeah, a couple million users. And yeah, this is from the Telegraph, and they're talking about how Spotify has been serving computer viruses to its listeners. And yeah, so they just found this out, saying that listeners who use the free version of the service with its adverts, with its adverts directing PC users to virus-riddled websites. And users of the streaming service software reported that the program would continually open their default web browser to load websites infested with malware. And so, yeah, they showed that this is happening to Mac, this is happening to Windows, this is happening to Linux, and then it's also happening across all web browsers. So don't feel bad that it's only happening to so many. This is happening to really everyone. And then the worst part is that you can't even pick out and say, well, it's this ad that is doing it. It's because, here's the worst part, saying that some of which of these ads attempt to install viruses automatically without the user clicking anything and appear to have nothing to do with the advert in question. And that's the real hard part, is that you can't just say, well, all the ads from company XYZ, they're all full of malware, they're all bad, and we need to shut down all the ads from that one company. It doesn't work that simply. Hackers are able to get in, inject whatever website that they want people to go to, and they are able to hijack ads. So they may send you to a completely benign, relevant website with a company that's trying to sell a product, but a hacker can take that and decide, well, turns out you're going to my website, which could either A, be a clone of the website that you intended to go to, but it could be full of malware, it could be just a complete spoof trying to get everything from you, or It could even be a completely different website that you did not intend to go to, and it just natively tries to install every bad piece of software that you can imagine. Not the best thing in the world, and obviously, if you aren't paying attention, and this can happen automatically in the background, it's going to infect millions upon millions of people. So, to wrap up the article, they're saying that Spotify has said that we've identified an issue where a small number of users were experiencing a problem with questionable website pop-ups in their default browsers as a result of an isolated issue with an ad on our free tier. We have now identified the source of the problem and we have shut it down. But as we have covered computer security in the past, if it happens once, it's going to happen again. Not the easiest thing to shut down. So just be careful. And again, when you can, ad blockers, they do a job. And well, the music means we have to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to talk to Gazelle and how to get rid of an old smartphone the easy way. Stay tuned.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Sorry, gender-neutral connectors just can't be AC/DC. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor. It looks a little like a smoke alarm, but it really houses a PIR, that's passive infrared motion sensor, that can cover 1,600 square feet, plus an ultrasonic motion sensor that can cover 1,000 square feet, plus an ambient light sensor, and you have ways to adjust the sensitivity of all three. It's made for wiring into AC power and selectively powering a load like a light or a motor when either or both you choose of the motion sensor's triggers and when the ambient light level you set is appropriate. You can also set between 5 seconds and half an hour how long the load remains powered when it triggers. So bottom line, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor can bring automation to any room, battery-free. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
There we go. Hello, and welcome back to the Computer America Show. That mute switch, it is a killer. But yeah, no, welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. Just finished up doing some computer and technology news. Of course, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And now we are moving on in the second part of the show. We have Gazelle.com here with us. And, some things have been happening behind the scenes, and I'm hoping that we get this all right, because we didn't do all the proper checks. But I am hoping for the best, and I believe we have Gazelle waiting in the wings, and more specifically, Miss Amy Rice, who is Gazelle's gadget expert. So let's bring her on and see what happens. So. Again, this is Gazelle.com. I'm sure you've seen their commercials before. They have been all over television. I know I've seen them, and I'm really really glad to have them on the show today. And hopefully, Amy Rice is here with me, who is Gazelle's gadget expert. Amy, can you hear me? Maybe a little bit, not really. Oh, I don't think she can, for whatever reason. So yeah, and yeah, see, I keep pausing and hoping. So, Amy, if you can hear me, then unfortunately I can't hear you for whatever reason. And yeah, I guess I'll try hanging up and try calling again real quick. Sorry about that, folks. It's not the easiest thing in the world to to do this behind the scenes while we do the show here. But yeah, again, if you want to check them out, head on over to Gazelle.com, and they make it really really easy to trade in, sell, or buy a refurbished iPhone, smartphone, Android phone, what have you, very very simply and very very conveniently, all online. So yeah, let's try this one more time as we continue on here, and hopefully Amy Rice, can you hear me? All right, so guess not, unfortunately. um hmm, okay. uh yeah, Amy, again, if you can hear me, unfortunately, obviously this is why we do sound checks, and we didn't really have a chance to do this before the show. So, yeah, we're gonna have to reschedule Gazelle and try this again some other time. I'm so sorry, but for whatever reason, we can't hear you on the air. So, it is what it is, and again, I fully apologize. And to the listening audience, again, hopefully we'll have Gazelle on in the near future, and hopefully with a working phone this time, or I'm sorry, next time, and yeah, be able to talk all about their services and what they could do for, if you have a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, or even desktop sitting around, maybe Gazelle could help you out. But until then, yeah, we're gonna have to try that again some other time. So sorry, Amy, once again. Um, yeah, and of course, sorry everyone out there. Fully intended to have them on, but for whatever reason, their phone is not currently working. My apologies. So instead, we are going to continue on with the computer and technology news, because heaven knows there's actually a lot that we haven't covered that I was going to gloss over. But indeed, there are some things that we should really really talk about, and one of those things is, of course, Yahoo. And I made jokes earlier, earlier in the show, about how people, as soon as Gmail came on the scene, Yahoo was, kind of the forgotten child. Not really the case, because I think a lot of people, they get an email, and then it's a lot of hassle to, for whatever reason, really, it's a lot of hassle for whatever reason to really, uh, you know, change email, change everything that you do. People do not like forwarding everything, and instead they simply want to, they simply want to keep the email. So for a lot of people, that first email was either an at AOL.com, so it was either an American online email, or a lot of people it was Yahoo. Yahoo was the first one. They provided free email to a lot of people, and because they've been such an early player in the game, they they collected hundreds and hundreds of millions. Like, they were one of the first, and therefore one of the biggest. And they just revealed that Yahoo, of course, was the first U.S. internet company to build a program at the request of the U.S. intelligence services to search every single incoming message of every single user in real time. So, we've talked about mass government surveillance here on the show before. It's obviously not something completely new, as you can, go watch the movie Snowden, which I believe is still in theaters. Just to get an idea of how insidious this can really get. But this is, of course, this is almost unprecedented for a company to, like, not even put up a fight, just kind of give all of its users over and say, Okay, sure, why not? Other than, of course, I think it's whichever amendment protects civilians from undue or from unwarranted searches and things like that. Maybe the fourth. I don't know. But so this article is from fightforthefuture.org. And yeah, it's they're saying that this is an absolutely unprecedented privacy violation. Surveillance experts and former government officials are saying that they have never seen such a broad demand for real time digital surveillance, never mind one that calls for the creation of a new computer program. And this program, essentially a wiretap on the web, is beyond the scope of any of the already overreaching surveillance laws currently on the books, saying that the order issued to Yahoo appears to be unprecedented and unconstitutional. The government appears to have compelled Yahoo to conduct precisely the type of general, suspicionless search that the Fourth Amendment was intended to prohibit. So, hey, I was right. It was Fourth Amendment. And yeah, that statement is very, very true, I think, in a lot of regards. I mean, like, if Google caught flack for this, for, Google, its own company, searching Google's own free email service for ways to monetize, track, and of course serve ads to a captive audience, then Yahoo should be getting way, way, way more flack for not just doing it for their own purposes, but even just to, but like even working with the government agencies so closely and so willingly, it seems that they just turned everything over to a government agency. Like, it's not even their own company, it's just really anyone from the US government that asks. So they're saying that communication giants Microsoft, Twitter, Google, Facebook, and Apple have all rushed to put out statements reassuring users that they had not received or complied with similar directives. Some going as far to say that they have the I'm sorry. Some going as far to say that if they had, they would challenge it in court. So Apple pointed to a recent statement by Tim Cook, which reads, I want to be absolutely clear that we would never work with any government agency from any country to create a backdoor in any of our products or services. We have also never allowed access to our servers, and we never will. And it seems very defiant, but at the same time, that's the kind of um, that is the kind of dedication to protecting a user's data that you want, because there are lots of ways to spoof looking like the US government for hackers and things like that, let alone just data that has no reason being in anyone else's hands but yours, be it pictures, be it documents, be it important information, just or even what you were talking to your friend to last Friday night when you were deciding where to go to dinner. I mean, just information that you feel no one should be privy to, and you want a company that's going to fight for you. And that does not seem to be Yahoo. Yahoo issued a statement that does not outright deny the program existed, nor address the myriad of privacy and security concerns that have been raised, saying that saying that the former Yahoo chief information security officer is appalled by the program, saying that when he found out about it in 2015, he immediately resigned his position, telling coworkers that he had been excluded from the decision to implement the program. And he also cited flaws that seriously endanger the security of user data and left the program vulnerable to hackers. Again, when you create a backdoor, that was Apple's big thing, was that it wasn't just creating a backdoor for the US government to catch a terrorist. And I know there's a lot of buzzwords in there that make you think, wow, they should really work with the government to catch all those terrorists. That is such a bad thing. Well, at the same time, whenever you create a backdoor, you create a vulnerability within your program that is now, first of all, known, and if it's found out, can be exploited in a lot of different ways. I mean, you're talking about plugging holes in a ship, and then you drill a massive hole right in the middle and say, hey, don't use this one. This one is for approved security officials only or approved government officials only. And, hey, that's going to be the first place that they look to attack. Very, very convenient for hackers. And again, is why someone like Apple or Google or any of these other tech companies, that's exactly why they don't want to, is because it compromises user data so much that it is not a worthwhile trade-off. So, and they're saying that this is not the first security problem Yahoo has struggled with, saying that just last month it was revealed that over 500 million and possibly many, many more Yahoo user accounts were compromised by state-sponsored actors, saying that this hack was almost certainly a result of Yahoo consistently refusing to invest in the necessary and standard security practices adopted by their competitors after a massive hack 6 years ago. And I think some of those, some of those standard practices include linking to a cell phone and two-factor authentication, and having people reset their passwords every so often, and just many, many things that I think Yahoo knows that if they try to implement those things, the majority of their user base, they would never do it, or it would scare them off. It would, they would stop using the service altogether. I really do feel like they didn't implement proper security practices just so that they didn't turn any of their 500 million users off, even though it would have been better for them. Sometimes when I hate to say it, an older generation is asked to, link their email to their cell phone and then authenticate using the cell phone. I mean, yeah, it sounds simple when you know what's happening, but it can be daunting to someone who just wants to check their email. So they're saying that their security is not going to get any better, saying that Yahoo was recently sold to Verizon for about $5 billion. And that the telecom company, including Verizon, have been colluding with the NSA for years to gather information on billions of people worldwide. And this was what Edward Snowden had revealed back in 2013. So, beyond handing your data to a prying NSA, Verizon has also notoriously created an innovative way to track your online habits on both your phone and your non-Verizon devices, like personal laptops. And they then sell that information to marketers, and the Verizon Yahoo merger is going to compound the security issues that these two companies have created. And yeah, obviously, that article was a little biased, kind of against Yahoo. They, fight for the future. It seemed like they really jumped at any, and 500 million user accounts hacked. I don't want to say any small thing they really jumped on, but at the same time, you definitely feel like they attacked, they really went for the jugular for all these things that, when you're that big, you have a huge target painted on your back. So to say that you are the victim of massive hackings, well, yeah, because you're massive enough to be hacked on a massive scale. So yes, they could have done things better. Yes, they should definitely be chastised for what they've done. And yes, they should definitely face the repercussions of actually creating programs to help surveil on all of their users in real time by law enforcement, which again, huge breach of trust. Because nowhere, I'm sure, did anyone ever read or even agree to, if I use a Yahoo account, I agree that the US government is going to read every single incoming or outgoing email. It's not what people sign up for, and it's not what they intended. And yet for Yahoo to do this, I mean, again, I hope they really do face some backlash from consumers. It's not a good look for them, and definitely not a good look for someone like, let's say, Marissa Myers, who again is the CEO that even after she failed to turn it around, $25 million. Hey, why not? And I believe I read somewhere else that she was the CEO that actually greenlit the program and let it happen. Not a good look. And again, we have security experts all the time on the show, and any security experts coming on, I guarantee you, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, are all going to talk about the Yahoo scandal. And for good reason. It's a huge breach of trust between user and company. So why don't we move on from that one to another story? And how about this one? And this is kind of data, kind of similar to what just happened with Yahoo, what we were just talking about. And instead, we are going to move on over to the dangers of bringing your own body, and this has to do with biometric data. And biometric data is a fancy way of saying, how much you weigh, what's your heart rate, how many calories are you eating. Everyone who wears a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, or anyone who logs any of their, kind of, again, biometric data into these apps, it's, very convenient, I think, for a lot of people who are looking to exercise, get healthier, track their fitness. They make it very easy to to do this. But then the question is, who actually gets access to that data? Because I think when most people think about biometric data, they think it's for themselves. They think it's my weight, my heart rate, my fitness activity. It's my it's my caloric intake. It's I'm cataloging all of this for myself, and because I need it to get healthier and I need it to keep track of what I'm doing. Not always the case. And this is something from a website called Dark Reading, Mr. Con Leong, saying that the use of biometric data is on the rise, which is causing a new security risk that must be assessed and addressed. And while the article is a little long, I think I already get the gist of it just from reading, the first bits. But he starts off by saying that as of 2016, the average 3-year cost of a breach in the US is $4 million over 3 years, and the average cost of an individual breach business is $158. So, because most of these breaches until now have been more traditional data types, such as business records, emails, and financial data, the enterprise should expect increasing costs with the availability of increasingly smaller data belonging to individuals. So they're saying that the most prized data types currently are those that the individual can't change. Medical records have far surpassed credit card numbers in their value on the black market, and it's not unlikely that personal biometric data, especially types that are unalterable, will have similar value. So the most logical first step for today's information governance professionals would be to simply identify what data may exist within the enterprise. And this can include, and really, everyone, take an ear and really tell me if you think a company has access to any of these of you. And these things can include fingerprints. And fingerprints, I think, are one of the most popular forms of biometric data that are out there and are accessible by a lot of companies because, even I'll admit it. I have Touch ID for iPhone. So my fingerprints, I scanned it myself. I did it myself. I know that somewhere, someone has the ability to find my fingerprint. Iris scans and images or close-up facial photos. I know close-up facial photos, that's used for things like Intel's, the Intel's RealSense camera. There we go. And how that is used to, all you have to do is smile at your computer and it does an analysis, and bingo, you are into your computer just by sitting down and smiling at it. Very simple, but again, means somewhere on some server, an entire facial composition of you is just sitting there. They're saying that EEGs are used, which are used in neuromarketing research, fitness tracker and heart rate data, and personal handwriting and signatures. And again, personal handwriting and signatures, I know, again, just thinking personally, I know a few companies that have that because, things like your bank that will accept checks by, all you have to do is take a photo of them front and back. When you sign your name on the back, you know that at least that company has it. And then there are lots and lots of other services that promise to do the same thing. That all you have to do is take a picture or submit something by photo, and they will accept it with handwriting. And again, means somewhere someone has my signature, and I did it myself. I was perfectly okay with it. So they're saying that once someone has all of those, or at least once someone has done, mapping the potential locations where the data exists is necessary to determine where the most likely risk exists. And they're saying that possible places that the biometric data reside within can include file sharing environments, archives, building entry and physical security systems, enterprise social media, software as a service products. Any and all of those can have many, many different forms of information that you cannot change no matter how hard you try. You cannot change your fingerprint, you cannot change your face. Well, you can, but and again, you can change all that, but realistically, you're not going to change them. And just like your personal handwriting, you're not going to really change your handwriting just because it's a security threat. So they're saying that the key objective for the immediate future is to determine what's within the realm of control and how security can strengthen for the locations where there is most likely to be sensitive items. And he said that this simple task today will be important for the future, regardless of how common biometric data becomes in business. So he's saying that bring your own body isn't quite the HR policy violation it sounds like. It's a call to action for information governance and security. It's time to identify sources of employee biometric data and to ensure that it is properly governed and secured within enterprise systems. And again, that was by Ken Leong. And he makes a very, very good point that for all the things that you can steal, credit cards are incredibly common and incredibly easy to report fraud, theft. Very, very easy to track down who used it, when, and for what. At this point, it's kind of trivial to steal a credit card, and so therefore, people are looking for first names, last names, any kind of information that you can't change, including biometric information that we just went over, personal information that you can actually apply for loans or steal someone's W-2 or, ask for a tax refund to be sent somewhere else and file on behalf of someone illegally. I mean, these kinds of systems are infinitely more desirable to hackers than just credit card numbers or your social security number. Well, admittedly they do want your social security number, but they want it with other information to impersonate you. It's not the easiest thing in the world, as more and more companies are asking for more and more data to be more and more secure, oddly enough. But the more you give out that data, the more unsecure I think the people really feel, because obviously more people have more personal information that at some point all has to match up. Like, if you have two services that link up, be it a bank and something else, and you can't even give them false information to kind of protect yourself. Everything has to match up and sync together. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So not the best thing in the world. And again, it's a hidden danger and something that we're going to have to really discuss and really consider. How do we feel about data being brought up in so many ways, and data that's we're giving away freely? We went over that list, and I could name really almost all of those that I gave over willingly to a company, be it for convenience, be it for security reasons. But once it's somewhere, that means it is vulnerable to being stolen. And good luck trying to change an iris. Not really feasible. So yeah, going forward, be careful who you trust, and yeah, have fun with it. And with that being said, I think that's it for today's show. Again, apologize to everyone who tuned in to listen to Gazelle. They will be on at a later date when we have a proper sound check and we are able to get them on the show. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but we will do so. And yeah, hopefully we will have them back on to talk all about, of course, how to take your smartphone, tablet, laptop, desktop. They pay cash for it, and they inspect it, and they verify them and sell them to consumers looking for a cost-effective way to get those. So if you're looking for a quick way to sell, any of those devices, or even a convenient way to buy them on, for less than retail, then again, maybe check out Gazelle and check out Computer America going forward, as we will probably definitely have them back on to discuss everything. But with that being said, and there's the music right on cue. Please, everyone, tune in tomorrow on Computer America, as I think we have a really great guest. Let me just triple check. Yes, tomorrow we have actually no one scheduled, but we'll get someone really, really good, and we'll be sure to bring that to you right away. And for everyone else, in case we don't have anyone else, then we will do computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, where we will do, just like we did today, go over late-breaking news, including either conferences or technology that interests you or really concerns you in some way, shape, or form. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you all had fun listening to me talk. And yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow afternoon. And so everyone out there, have a great day. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone. Bye. And there we go. We just logged out the network. And for everyone watching us on Google Hangouts, and of course everyone listening to us on the IRN, please thank you for joining. Thank you for joining Computer America here on yet another show. And again, we will be back 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern for a whole new show. So see you tomorrow and have a good one. Bye, everyone.